everyone, and welcome to the Next Best Picture podcast, where I am being joined right now by the director for Love, Brooklyn, Rachael Abigail Holder. Rachel, thank you so much for taking the time to speak with me today about your film.
Thank you for having me. How's your day going?
You know, busy. We're still in the thick of Emmy season. I'm prepping for 4 major fall film festivals that will cover over 100 films in less than a month. It's a lot.
Oh my.
But it's fine, you know, because at the end of the day, I love what I do. And part of what I do is hopefully put a spotlight on films that I really enjoyed. And I was lucky to see this movie at Sundance, where it had its premiere. So, yeah, looking back on it now, I'm really grateful to see that it has a release. You know, we're in a marketplace nowadays where that's not the case for all independent films. So tell me a bit about, before I skip ahead to release and such, tell me about the genesis of the project and how you came on board. Because as I understand it, you read the script, you've found a personal connection to it, and I imagine that was an easy yes, but then how did you take elements from your own life and then infuse that either in the casting or just the overall specificity of the story?
Yeah, well, when I first read the script, I saw myself in it. I saw my family. I saw my friends. I lived in Brooklyn during grad school, and then after as like a struggling artist. So it really spoke to me, and it felt so timeless because although it was written, you know, decades ago and about someone with an identity that's completely different than mine, it still felt very much like it was something that I could see myself and my community in.
Yeah, no, absolutely. And so what made, you know, each one of these 3 actors, these 3 central actors, the right choices for the roles? Like, what qualities were you looking for in all 3 of them? Because you have to feel this conflict, but also this chemistry as well, and to create that kind of emotional maturity of the story that you're telling.
Yeah, you know, as an artist, just like holistically, I want to tell Black stories that are specifically about Black people who are sensitive and who can be vulnerable and comfortable in their vulnerability, and not in like a tragic event necessarily, but just like in everyday life, because life in general can be hard. And so I was just really looking for great, amazing actors who were going to, like, for example, I love to describe Nicole Beharie as an actor who can tell chapters of a story in her eyes. Like, just with her eyes, her acting is amazing. So she was an incredible get. André was someone that I pitched the producers, André, like at the beginning of this process in 2019. And what I said to him in my pitch to him, to hopefully get him to be a part of the movie, was that we want to see him fall in love. André is in this credible moment in Moonlight where we see him loving. And I think the audience, you know, universally as a whole was leaning into him, and we've never seen him in a love story. And so I thought that this was just like an incredible chance to have, you know, one of the princes of Hollywood in a romance.
Yeah. I was fortunate. I saw him at, I want to say it was South by Southwest. It was another film festival, and I saw him, and this film, and then there was another film that he also had done that was smaller as well. And I just thanked him for how much he gives of himself to independent projects, because I feel like he's at a point in his career where he doesn't need to do that, but it's what speaks to him, you know, and it's what moves him as an artist, as this story, I assume, like you said, did for you as well. So,
yeah, absolutely. I mean, he put himself fully into this. He came on as a producer. He's the reason why we were able to have the film happen at all. Like, just like logistically, his producing allowed us to really put it on its feet.
And I read somewhere too that Steven Soderbergh also came on board and helped out with getting the film made too. Is that true?
Yeah, we needed a big chunk of the financing to sort of get it to the finish line, and he came on and he did that. I mean, through his connection with Andre, he heard about this little tiny indie film, this director who had never directed a feature before, and he watched my shorts, and we met after he came on, and to help us, he met me and Andre one night before filming, and he was really like, he wasn't just like a check. He was an artist in the process too, which was really wonderful. I mean, he gave notes. He was we were really lucky, and it was really special to have him come on board, not just as a financier, but also as like someone who could, steer the boat a bit too.
Hmm. You mentioned the shorts before. This is your feature directorial debut. How does something like that compare to any other work that you have either directed or just simply even worked on? Like, what is the feeling that one gets when it's a larger production such as this?
Thanks for asking that. Yeah, like I've been talking a lot about being a television director and finally being able to direct a film. Like television directing is like playing scales on a piano, and
Okay.
I'm a pianist, and I love to just like get on a piano sometimes and just like, you know, play around, and that's fun and it keeps my mind sharp as an artist. But I really like to play a song, and shooting a film is like playing a song. And so it's harder and it takes over my life in a way that TV directing, takes over my life for a couple of months, 3 months max. But this was 6 years of my life. And so
Wow.
it's a big, big undertaking, but it's still a song. So it's great.
Yeah, I like that analogy. It's nice.
Thanks.
What were some like visual references that you look towards for this? Because I think whenever someone's trying to capture, I live in New York. I've been a New York
Yeah.
guy all my life. I lived in Brooklyn
Yeah.
for 6 years. I think it's very easy, especially for independent filmmakers, to take a camera, point and shoot, and capture the city in its gritty, raw, no LUT added, authenticity.
Mm.
And so, curious for you, what was your influence for just the overall like visual aesthetic of the movie?
So Martine, our cinematographer, who was just like a guiding light and amazing, because I was obsessed with what this movie was going to look like from the moment that we essentially like made it a Black movie,
Hmm.
added a specific culture to it. I really wanted our brown skin to look a certain color,
Hmm.
and for the green of Brooklyn to be lit in a way that would give solace and peace to an audience member. And like walking in nature, it's basic science. Like it puts your heart at ease. And so I wanted our audience, people who want to visit Brooklyn, or people who, not even just like about Brooklyn specifically, but just anyone whose home has changed dramatically, and who has experienced that kind of loss. I wanted them to watch this film and feel the peace and have the calm of their nervous system that happens when you're walking in nature. And so Martine and I talked at length about light and color. And I created all these visual decks and stuff, and pulled images to create like the exact color palette and aesthetic. And he really, together we worked together, and he really, really like I just remember being on set, and we created a lot. And so while shooting, it was in that um, image. It was in that coloring already. And then Roman, our colorist, really took it to its peak. Bringing out the reds that I saw, and those warm colors of the skin. And so, no one is overly darkened in shadows that don't exist.
Right.
I wanted everyone to be able to see these people, because the dialogue and the subtext, the things that aren't said, like you feel like you're hanging out with them, you know? And
Hmm.
when reading the script, I wanted to hang out with these people, and I wanted visually, you know, as a director of a film like that, I wanted to have the people who were watching this film excited to hang out with them really see who they were hanging out with. Um, and yeah, I really cared about that. So I'm glad I'm glad it turned out the way that it did, and it looks the way that I'm just so proud of how it looks.
Yeah, it definitely exudes a certain type of warmth that I think you feel, not just for the setting, but also for the people as well. I like what you said about hanging out with them. I too would love to go to an art gallery and just hang out for a day, you know? Um, I'm really curious, was there any discussion about whether or not Andre Holland's character would be either, say, a Mets or a Yankees fan, or was that just something that he just chose on the day? Or
Missy, our costume designer, I believe, chose that, or was that Andre's hat? And I don't know. I can't remember. I can't remember, but there was not a lot of discussion. I'm not.
I always wonder, like, what does it say about you, depending on which New York team you go, you root for?
Oh, okay.
But in any event, though, I mean,
No, there's not a lot of discussion. Sports to me, like, I'm just sort of, I'm in awe of that. I wish I could be someone who's like a screaming fan. It just looks like so much fun. I just like, I can't, I can't get into it. A ball in a net or a ball in a field. I just like my sports is like, you know, the theater, like when the house lights go down, like, I feel like that's the kind of excitement.
Sure. No, I totally get that. And not to mention too, like, and I feel like for sports, like I just need to know what I need to know in order to get by. And that's pretty much it. But going back to the film here really quick, very important theme. I love that I'm pivoting into something serious. The theme of letting go. I was just talking with a friend about this not 2 days ago, about how they need to let go of something in their life and move on. And I'm constantly fascinated that even in our mid-30s, that we still have a hard time doing this. It's like you've seen enough movies, you know human behavior, you understand psychology to a certain degree. Why do we find it so difficult as human beings to let go of the past and move on?
Oh, what a question. I mean, uh, I think that we're all sort of still hanging out with our inner children, and
Mm,
that keeps stuff around, and we have to do the work to, you know, reach our higher selves and be the adults that we want to be. But we're all sort of still our little selves, and that serves us well in certain places. Like, I really like to still play. Like, I don't know when the last time you've been on a swing, but swings are still really awesome. um and like, I love, you know, running in the rain. I like playing in dirt still, you know, like, but I have to let go of the childhood, inner child stuff that, you know, keeps me stuck in things that I shouldn't be stuck in anymore, keeps me from moving on from things that are difficult to move on from. And I think it's just like adult work that you have to continuously do. I don't think anyone is like, you know, even at like 85, 95, I don't think anyone's like, okay, I've killed my inner child, you know?
yeah.
Like, because that sounds horrible. That sounds kind of sad, because it's, you know, it's good and bad. And so the work is about sort of making sure that you're doing the work to take out the bad.
Yeah. I remember at the time of its release, you probably have seen the film American Fiction from a few years ago.
Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. Nominated for Best Picture. A lot of folks saw it. It was very popular. It commented a lot on how Black storytelling in general tends to be more traumatic, dark and heavy. You were mentioning earlier, you want to tell stories that go in another direction. And I think this film successfully does achieve that. Do you feel that we are making progress, like as an industry, with telling more of these stories? Because I have gotten a sense that there has been a push, a movement, if you will, to actively make these films be more, well, just get made more in general. But the problem is they're mostly existing within the independent space, I see.
Yeah, as a working artist in this business, I think it's still a steep climb. It took us several years to get this movie off the ground. Andre, Lisa, Kate, Patrick, our producers can tell you, like, it took a really um, long time because it's a hard thing to explain. Race. I mean, I think that explaining that you want to make a movie about Black people without negating race, but also not making it about that is such a
Mhm.
hard thing to explain. Like, even just saying that sentence to you sounds like a tongue twister.
Mm.
And I think that most subjects, even outside of this industry, that pertain to race are complex because it's meant to confuse. And so it's hard. It's been hard. And I do think that, you know what? I do think that there's progress though,
Mhm.
because when I first came into this industry, um, there was a lot of conversations that I would have with like young executives who were like, I want to make different kinds of film. And I would say, like, me too, as an artist, I want to make that too. And I feel like we've all sort of grown up now, and a lot of us are the decision makers. And so I think it's in the pipeline. I think we're about to have a real like moment. I mean, like, for example, like Sinners, even though there's like some trauma and it's scary, there was a lot of just like humanity in that movie.
Mhm.
And like it and beauty. I mean, that final shot with Wumni, and I won't spoil it because I hate when people do that. But I feel like the beginning of this like diversity and inclusion conversation was about like doing the right thing. And
Mhm.
I think now people are realizing, and hopefully, the smart ones are, that it's not a charity case. It's like literally blackness, our culture defines what's cool. And
Yeah.
so like that's where the money is. It's marketable. And also like these universal stories that are just specific in our specific cultures, because we are of so many. um they're new, they're fresh, like there's so much out there now. People want new, people want fresh, people want things that they've never seen before. And how cool is it that we're not saying that we want to make like this specific alien, avatar, whatever. It's like, this is so human, and we're all that. So I have a lot of hope. I have a lot of hope for the future.
I do too. I'm seeing it reflected in television. I'm slowly starting to see it creep its way into feature filmmaking as well. And if this film and what you said earlier are any indication, I am excited to see more from you. I want to thank
Thank
you
you.
so much for your time here. And I want to remind our listeners that Love Brooklyn is coming to theaters on August 29th, I believe. Greenwich Entertainment is releasing it. And thank you so much just for your time today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, Matthew. So the first date is August 27th, and we have
27th.
Q&As. Yeah, August 27th at Angelica Theater in New York. And then we open nationwide September 5th. The Angelica showings will have Q&As with our talent and some like really cool, famous moderators. So come out and support us. Thank
That's
you.
great. Thank you so much once again, and have a wonderful rest of your day.
You too. Take care, Matthew.
Bye bye.
Bye.